Hello and welcome or welcome back. My name is V, and I'm actually recording this video as the Final Fantasy XIV servers are down. So we're all sitting here waiting for the 6.55, and I figured it's a good idea to to do something else and actually talk a little bit about pretty much everything that you've been saying to me in the past few days. A few days ago, I tweeted and I received quite a few of replies that I wanted to discuss to the question whether you're playing Final Fantasy XIV or not. And as we are, in the pre-patch era, I think it's kind of a good idea to just go through some of these. First of all, thank you to everyone who's participated in this. I really appreciate it, and there were a lot of replies, almost a hundred comments or so, and I picked like I don't know 15, 16 of them that I wanted to go through that kind of I guess represented what a lot of people were echoing. So these ones are I guess each one is a representative, in my opinion, of a group of people who feel the same way about it. So I wanted to talk about it. The first comment that I wanted to discuss is from Archangel 79. And Archangel said, I'm not playing right now. I play for the story, and generally by the last patch, there isn't much going on. I'll be back the second the new expansion drops. I feel like a lot of people have these similar feelings, and I've been told, even as I started playing Final Fantasy XIV, that some people just play for the story, and that they're gone for months and months when there's nothing to go through. And I think that's fine. Some people who do play for the story, they come back to do multiple like new games plus, they level their alts and go through that a lot of times. But if you're like me and you haven't done that, then it just kind of leaves a lot of empty space. And since you're a story oriented person, I'm going to guess that you have a lot of other story related games in your backlog, and something that you've been wanting to play in general, new releases and such. So this is a completely, in my opinion, valid reason. Not that there isn't there is a non-valid reason for not playing a game, but this is just something that I think the developer team has in mind as well when they're building a game, and they don't want people to kind of feel I guess I don't know, imprisoned, I guess, like coming from World of Warcraft, where I felt like I was imprisoned by I don't know, Mythic Plus and Torghast and like other things that I had to do on a weekly basis. I feel like that's fair enough. We have more responses. We have Waddles Toddles, who said, I don't have the extra funds and time to get it back into playing yet, but when I do, I'm going to learn what fun is again. This honestly makes complete sense. And I know that, I don't know, maybe $10, $15, whatever. It doesn't sound like a lot of money, but that is a lot of money somewhere. In I don't know, in the states or the West in general, that money is worth, in my opinion, a lot less than what it is worth here. I'll give you an example. For I don't know, the $15 or so, I can have two very nice meals. Meals that like include foods that can basically keep me full for the entire day. Whereas from what I've heard from my American friends, Canadian friends, and such, is that with like $15, you really can't do all that much. So I don't know where Waddles Toddles is from, but this is something that a lot of people have said. And considering that Final Fantasy XIV doesn't only have Western players, obviously, it's there's a difference between like how worth that money is. Now, when it comes to me per se, yes, I feel like even when I'm not playing as actively, I feel that as my monthly bill that I have to consider. But I also am consistently subscribed because we have an FC house, and I'm staying logged in, signed in not signed in, subscribed. So it did. We don't lose the house, so that I can always like walk in, no demolition and such. And I'm okay with that. Like I don't think I'll ever be changing the servers. I'm on Light on Lich, by the way, and I really am holding on to that house that we have. And I guess that I don't know, maybe I would have unsubscribed at some point while I was playing other games, like I don't know, Final Fantasy 16 or Baldur's Gate, or like some of the many other games that I've played in the past year. But I'm pretty happy to be around, because sometimes I get this urge to like, hey, let's let's do all of the roulettes in one day, and then I'll do it tomorrow, and then I don't do it tomorrow, and that's completely fine. Like I play when I want to play, and when I play for like 3 or 4 or 5 hours. And even if I do that, a few times a month, I'm very happy as a player during the downtime, as I still have a lot of stuff to do. And in those very, very rare times when I have nothing else to do, which is actually never. But sometimes I do log in and find some time to do weeklies to work on getting more MGP from, like, I don't know, Gold Saucer or something like that, for to buy the blackjack and stuff like that in general. Then we have Tal, or Tomodachi Talia, saying, I am trying to get some achievements done. Honestly, this is something that any achievement hunter has said and echoed on Twitter. There are so many different things that people have brought up, including gold saucer, fishing, achievements like clearing Savage and other raids. Although there are some responses that are specifically related to raid tiers and whatnot that I also want to discuss. But I think that this is something that everyone can relate to, whoever is trying to basically clear a percentage within the game. Now, I personally am not very happy with how the achievement filter looks, and I don't know, like I'm finding it very difficult sometimes to search through achievements and find something to do through that. I actually use it's called like XIV to do website, and it's actually very cool. A big shout out to them, as they have like weekly and daily checklists for characters, which is something that just kind of keeps me in the loop as to what's new in the game, what should be done on a weekly and daily basis, and whatnot. And they also have a list of like challenges and quest lines that I've been using when I didn't know much about the game. So that's how I discovered like the Moogle, like the post quests and other, I don't know, side raids and all that such. And I really appreciate their website and their work. So I use that specifically for achievements. I wish I was more disciplined at playing lately, but I did kind of promise myself that the time between the last patch and the new expansion will be the time when I kind of come back and start clearing some of these things, which is something that I intend to do. So if you're here on Mom's Den and you've been wondering when I'm gonna come back to the channel and upload some more videos and streams and whatnot, the answer is now. So rejoice. Um, then we have Vexkin saying, just don't have the time. I work 2 jobs, piano and Japanese lessons, and want to play games I haven't before. That's fair enough. This is something that I guess again relates to that whole backlog situation. I feel very strongly about this, and as someone who's come from a game of like Hearthstone, which I still play, and I've kind of recently come back to it. I felt like playing just Hearthstone for about, I don't know, 3 or 4 years or so has, it's been fun and I loved it. And I, at one point, got very good at the game. But at the same time, I felt like I was deprived of like all the other stories. I was living under a rock. And every time I would get someone to come to my stream and talk about another game, I'd be like, oh no, I don't play these other games. I just play Hearthstone. I was very uneducated as a content creator, and I didn't really even recognize the need to play through some of these big titles just to have something to talk about with people and to maybe grow the channel past Hearthstone, which was probably one of the biggest mistakes that I've ever made that I'm rectifying now. It's never too late. But yeah, like that's something I completely understand. And obviously working two jobs, having like all of these like lessons and hobbies and whatnot, it does come first, because first of all we need to take care of ourselves and our loved ones and make sure that the bills are paid and that we have food on the table. And then comes the self-care. Now some people will say that Final Fantasy 14 is their self-care, which is totally fine. Some people have outside hobbies and interests, which obviously I think we all have. And I think that Final Fantasy 14 just really gives people the opportunity to explore these hobbies past, I guess without being imprisoned, like I mentioned before. So yeah, I get that. Then we have Blue Elf saying, I have a close knit group of friends that still tackle certain side content. At the moment, we're casually working on the Criterion dungeons towards their savage modes. Honestly, I think this is dope. This is something that unfortunately not a lot of people are privileged to have in Final Fantasy XIV, even though everyone technically can. Find themselves a group of friends or a static or something like that. Sometimes it's very difficult. There's a lot of us. I say us because I'm also not, I guess, a part of some community that is currently in Final Fantasy XIV doing things. For the introverted ones, it's a little, I guess, a little more challenging. I even made a video, I think maybe a couple of years ago, talking about how to possibly make some friends in FF14, and I think I need to rewatch that video and like take some of my own advice, because I haven't really done that. Like mostly I meet people through, I don't know, probably through content creation and such, but it's very rare that I meet someone who's actually on our world who I can do content with. I crave this. I honestly really do, and I think that anything can be made so much more fun when there's a consistent group of friends, even if it's just a pair of friends who are doing content like this. I've actually recently started working on the deep dungeon, and I'm having fun with that because I actually do have a friend who I do that with. Well, I did before the holidays. I guess we took a little bit of a break, but it was fun, and it still is fun, and it's something that I really enjoy doing because it makes it more fun than if I was to go alone. And I don't need like a group of maybe, I don't know, 8 people or whatever. I don't need a full static because I don't really raid right now. But I do appreciate like every single one of my friends who I occasionally get to do content with. So I think this is great. And even if you have some friends who haven't played in a while, if you can, establish some sort of, I don't know, I guess agreement that you're going to work on something and all subscribe for like a month or two to get these achievements, then that's great. That can really change your perspective on the game. Then we have Marcus Kale saying, I like the game, so I constantly log in and do random stuff when I have time. It's a second home to me at this point. I get that. I used to feel much more like this before. I guess when I started with Final Fantasy XIV while I was still doing the MSQ, past live streaming, I still wanted to, to explore Eorzea, to be a part of the community and whatnot. And I remember this stage of my life when I would just log in and, listen to, Gold Saucer music or Gridania or whatever. So I was still probably under, I don't know, under 50 or something like that. But at some point, first of all, at some point my laptop started not being that good, so I couldn't like stay logged in and then edit other videos and such. It's very embarrassing to admit. But apart from that, I guess some of these tunes kind of became, oppressive to like listen to them every day and such. And I would sometimes feel bad because sometimes I would like log in and then a friend would say hello or something like that, and I was AFK and I would feel like I'm ignoring them. So that, I guess that kind of also got me to not log in as much. It's not that I'm some sort of star or something like that, but I do feel bad. Like every time someone emotes at me or DMs me or something, and I just kind of miss it. I don't want to like I don't want people to think that I'm ignoring them and such. So I don't know. I chose to not log in, and I don't know. Occasionally, I do have these like urges to do side content. For me, I guess it's more related to the actual content creation, I suppose, because sometimes I will choose like a random bit of side content to do to maybe make a guide on it or to explore or to be able to talk about and such. And that's how I made my orchestrion rolls guide and how to dye your chocobo guide and other things like that that are not very, I guess, popular as activities, but over time they do, I guess, help people, which is something that I really strive to do here on the channel. So I get this. Genesis says, I bounce in now and again for events and a little catch up, and mainly to keep my house. But that's about it. I'm playing a lot of other games at the moment and can't find a place to have a good session. I'll be making time for Dawn Trail, though. I get that. I already talked about the house situation, which is, I guess, something that well, some of us are bound by, and events are a big thing for me because I do like getting these, like, exclusive little like event rewards and such. It's I don't know, that means a lot to me. And even if I'm subscribed for a month and the only thing that I do during the downtime is the event itself, I'm still okay with that because, a cool minion or a cool, like glamour or anything, it's nice. I do feel for the people who don't have a house, but they do the events, and sometimes the reward for the event is the actual like house item. Like, what do you even do with these? Do you even buy it? Do you buy it and then like store it in your bag and hope to win the lottery or something? Like, honestly, that just sucks, and I really really hope that at some point they rework the whole system so that people can actually experience what is advertised as a game feature. I think that's one of the most important things as a product seller, that when something is a game feature and is something that could potentially keep a lot of people involved in the game for a very long time, I feel like more people should have access to it. Like, we don't want in-game housing to, I don't know, to resemble like IRL housing, um, Megaville says, I'm barely at Heaven's Ford. Completely valid. We still have new players who are going through the story, and I was in Megaville's shoes, what, 2 years ago when Shadowbringers was ending, and I remember very vividly that there was still a lot of people doing Shadowbringers events because everybody was chasing Boja for the relics, and I wasn't a part of that whole movement, unfortunately, as I was still going through like Stormblood, Shadowbringers, and well, other content. And it just like never occurred to me to like hurry up and join one of these things. Well, it did. I just didn't have time because I quest slowly, which you might already know if you've been here on the channel for a while. But I don't regret it. I took my time, and yes, I missed out on some of that stuff when people were more active in comparison than what they are now in in Endwalker. I was supposed to say Dawn Trail. But yeah, like I think overall, if you're going through the story, if you're still new to the game, I envy you so much, and a lot of people from the community also envy you so much because we all wish we could go through the story, I guess, again for for the second time without knowing anything, because it's such a great story. Enjoy your journey, and I hope you have fun and make it to Dawn Trail with Endwalker stuff completed. Ginger Prime says, "Nope, I dipped out early, but once I hit my goals, I'll be checking out Dawn Trail." I get this. I don't know if this has something to do with the fact that Ginger Prime is a fellow content creator, an awesome content creator, by the way. Big shout out. If you don't know Ginger Prime, you should definitely subscribe to Ginger Prime's channel as well. Um, this makes sense. So as a content creator who used to be a part of the community, there will still be, I guess, a large number of the community members who will want to see you play the game again, maybe react to it and such. And I think that at some point, for content creators who even left the game, it becomes a little bit of a business decision as well. This is something that I faced with World of Warcraft when I left. I didn't come back for Dragonflight when it came out. When even some Final Fantasy 14 players were playing Dawn, not Dawn Trail, Dragonflight. I was just like, no, I'm not gonna play it. And then I don't know. I'm a sucker for these like Blizzard promotions in my email. I got like 2 weeks of free play time, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna play through Dragonflight, and then I ended up buying the expansion as well. I did like the story and everything, but I never like came back to it after finishing the main quest. However, I did get a lot of people from the World of Warcraft community to come back to the channel and see me go through the story here on Mom's Den, which used to be a World of Warcraft channel. My videos are still up there, and some people haven't forgotten that. So I did have a lot of support going into Dragonflight, and I think that every content creator who used to be a part of a community, if they no longer feel like they are, I think that the community will be very welcoming and also very curious about how the content creator is going to kind of react to the story as well. Ranger Meg says, yes, there's a lot of side quests I still want to do. This is completely valid. From my personal perspective, as I'm also making this video a little bit about me, as I'm commenting as a person who has their own experiences, I guess. This is something that I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I wish I could do more than anything. I'm craving, just kind of taking the time to go through all of these like side quests in Endwalker, in Dawn Trail, and everything. But I also have to be completely transparent here. I tried to do that, but that was the time when my streams were sinking. Because even though it is great content, these stories are great, and there will always be, diehard Final Fantasy 14 fans who want to see that. A lot of people just couldn't care less about Final Fantasy 14 content right now, especially if it's not something that they've personally done. And mind you, side quests are something that a lot of people haven't finished yet, or if it's not, I don't want to say competitive, but let's say high end like Savage or Ultimate or something like that. I'm somewhere in between, and I figured, I don't know, like I want to do these quests so badly, and I have this, I guess, a fear as a content creator that I will do some stuff on my own, and I will only later figure out that this is something that I really wanted to share with the community. Maybe a moment where someone was mentioned and I wanted to talk about it, or some quest that really hits you hard. I was very fortunate to actually be doing the, oh gosh, what were they? I think they were Labyrinthos side quests, or no, they were old Charlian side quests. Where if you've done them, you will know what I'm talking about, even without me mentioning it. There's a particular side quest that kind of unveils a mystery of a sort and brings up someone from the past. Who no one has really forgotten about, but the fact that it just kind of like hits you right there and then in the middle of old Charlotte, you're just, I don't know, like I remember crying and just, being really emotional about it. It was such a great side quest, and it just hits you out of nowhere. And like these are the moments that I feel like I should be able to showcase to the community, and play through it while I'm streaming, so that people can be like, okay, maybe this is something that's worth coming back for, or whatever. But honestly, I don't think I have this kind of push, I guess, to get people to do content. Not that it's my job to do that or anything of the sort, but it would be great if it was, I don't want to say more worth my time, or while on stream or whatever. But there's always something else that feels like really burning to do, like a new game release or something like that. And like these quests, unfortunately, for a content creator, they just like don't bring traction, and I'm a bit sad about that. Because for a while I was also doing like job quests, which are supposedly the best. I can't even call them side quests because they are somewhat mandatory and whatnot, and they were great for like a small percentage of people to see. But most people, maybe just didn't really care about them almost at all. uh Balok says, not playing, it's boring. Honestly, I had to include this one because even though this represents a great minority amongst the people who have commented, it is an opinion, and it is opinion that deserves to be heard. I think that everybody who claims that Final Fantasy XIV is boring has the right to say so. Everyone can find any game boring or not boring, and we as a community should not be going around like bashing anyone, saying like, "Oh, but it's not boring." There's so many things to do. Balak and other people, who feel similarly, are aware that there is plenty of content in Final Fantasy XIV, but that's not the content that they want to do, and that's completely fine. Some people just find it boring right now. Maybe they're even a little bitter and a little disappointed that nothing for a long time has changed in the game in a way that they have expected, and that's also completely okay. And I can only hope that Dawn Trail as an expansion will change that for for everyone who feels a little disappointed, and maybe will bring some of the players back who haven't played in a long time. Sarah Jane, another fellow content creator, make sure to go and subscribe to Sarah Jane as well, who I know is also streaming clears of like savages and ultimates and such. I'm a common lurker in Sarah's stream as well. Sarah says actively playing, currently challenging myself with DSR, also helping the Materia DC and Party Fighters and Borgia, and going through MSQ again with my partner who's playing for the first time. Honestly, this sounds super exciting, and having a community that that you can help, that is involved like this, is amazing. It's amazing for both the content and the content creator who kind of feels, I guess, this additional motivation to do something with the community as well. And we all know how amazing it is to have played the MSQ and see someone you love and deeply care about go through the MSQ for the first time. You can just kind of sit there and really enjoy their reactions and their feelings, and it kind of makes you feel like you're going through the story once again. And I feel like that's something that's really priceless. It's an experience that unfortunately not a lot of people get to experience because it's very difficult nowadays, when there's not that much like social media push and such, to get someone into Final Fantasy 14. Unfortunately, I've tried with some of my friends who played World of Warcraft and other games, and I sell this story about free expansions and everything, and they're like, okay, so what's the end game? And I say what the end game is, and they get interested and stuff, and then comes the question of how long it takes me to level, and I'm like, well, you need to not see it as leveling, you need to see it as an experience because the story is long. So when you start playing, you will probably finish faster than me because I stalled and it took me like almost a year. And then they're like, what? And I'm like, no, 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 but don't worry. Like if you start now, like in 6 months, you can be over and done with the story even faster. Like you can even finish it in like 3 or 4 months if you try. And that's where I lose people. I just don't know how to sell this. I swear I've tried. If you have any tips on how to get someone into 14 and use the right words to omit the fact that they need to go through this whole amount of story that admittedly is captivating, and I do try to emphasize that and everything, but like I just can't get a single friend to, like my RL friends, to try the game, and they're like, oh yeah, you have your stream, you have your YouTube channel, that's cool, I support you, but like I will never be a part of it. And I'm like, why? I want to play with you. But I get that, like sometimes it's just difficult to get that, I guess, I don't know, proper motivation to join a really like a big community and a long game as well. Matthews posted a comment that I really had to share because it was one of the most well put comments, very organized, because there's an actual checklist of things that you could be doing. So maybe you can like take some inspiration from it as well. So Matthews said, that daily Matthews does Shadowbringers and Endwalker hunts A and S when I see people doing them, picking best in slot for all combat jobs, leveling crafters to level 90, try dying, showing the Palace of the Dead solo, and I guess plus other activities. Weekly, at least one Delubrum Castrum and Dalriada, 450 capped tomes, weekly Shadowbringers and Endwalkers Hunt B, and Domon Enclave 40k Gil. Honestly, this is such a good list, and you can see that this person is very, very goal oriented and that they know exactly what they want. I will never be like this, unfortunately. Like, I will always want everything and then achieve very little. I wish I was different. I need to take some of this, this advice and just kind of apply it and stick to my own checklist. I do use the checklist from like the XIV to do, but it just doesn't work for me because I put like 30 things on the checklist and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do this every day or every week, and then I don't end up doing it. It's one of my greatest pet peeves, unfortunately. But I do try. Then we have Barna Brove saying, stopped playing a while ago. In my opinion, the Endwalker 6.0 MSQ was peak FF14, but it really felt like the conclusion of everything. What comes after falls flat in comparison, even though it's not terrible. The raids are still good, but the reason I came back before was always the story. I get this, and I completely relate to that. Now, you could, I don't know what to compare it with because we don't have another Final Fantasy 14 game, maybe except Final Fantasy 11. But I honestly don't know if the story ended, if they restarted any cycles or anything of the sort. I really don't know much about it, so I can't talk about it. But let's imagine, I don't know. Let's talk about Final Fantasy 8, which is my most recent completed Final Fantasy. Do you know how Final Fantasy VIII is completely amazing for like the, I don't know, in my opinion at least, for the second part of the game, but it has a little bit of a slow start. Now I know that there are some fans out there who don't want to hear anything about me saying that like Final Fantasy is imperfect in any way, but just like some other Final Fantasy games, they have a spectacular last leg of the game to the second half of the game, even I guess if it's one of the better Final Fantasies, but sometimes the beginnings are slow because you're just kind of trying to catch up like who's who and what's what. And I guess that after like let's say you've played through Final Fantasy 8 or any of your favorite Final Fantasies, it's the same graphics, it's the same characters and everything, and you've come to the end of the game where everything is just spectacular, and you felt that in your favorite game, and then there's another part of the game coming out that basically, I guess, brings you back to how you felt when you've just started that game. I don't ever think that Final Fantasy XIV Dawn Trail is going to, in any way, shape, or form, resemble a Realm Reborn. Don't get me wrong, but the initial unfamiliarity with all of the not just the cast the team, the crew, the whatever you want to call them, the zone, and most importantly the story is what matters. Like each one of the expansions, I guess, has started in a way that you already knew kind of where you left off in the previous expansion, and left off is, I guess, the key to what I want, like to the point that I'm trying to get to. You don't know, coming into Dawn Trail, you don't know what you're supposed to be doing. In, I don't know, Shadowbringers, you came from Stormblood, where there was that big entry into the expansion, and you kind of knew that something's about to go down, and that like immediately into Shadowbringers, you've been made aware of like this grand scheme of things that that's gonna happen, and we just don't know if there's gonna be a grand scheme of things in Dawn Trail, or if it's just gonna be like a very chill introduction into the story without much turmoil. I think that us from like Final Fantasy community in general are very masochistic, and we like being hurt by our games. You can't tell me that that's not the case, because everybody loves Shadowbringers because Shadowbringers is so emotional, and a lot of people also love Endwalker because Endwalker is also super super emotional, as well as Heaven's Ward. And like you will see that the most beloved stories and expansions are the ones that I guess have hurt people the most. We are like that. We've played these games for years, and this is just something that is in us at the moment. The fact that people can't imagine feeling like this in a new story, I think that is something that's off-putting, which is just the proof that sometimes people can be a little impatient because people want the emotional payoff as soon as possible. Nobody wants to wait another 10 years to get the emotional payoff from Dawn Trail. And I don't think they're ever going to do that. I think the story is just going to, continue, being great, and that they are going to make sure they cater to their fan base so that the fan base feels like something epic has indeed happened. But I think that we just need to be a little patient and just give the game a little bit of time to basically cook itself. Eric, master of 108 secret skills, says, I've been taking it easy this expansion. I'm not really a hardcore player and I'm not really a casual player. There's not really any content for people in the middle this time around, and I was feeling a bit burnt out, so I've only been doing the story and the Hildebrand weapons. This is something that really represents me and a lot of other players, and I would say content creators as well. There isn't a middle kind of content. There's a ton of casual content. There's, events, collaborations, for you to win different things. We had the Fall Guys collaboration. Soon at some point we'll have the Final Fantasy 16 one as well. Like, these things are, these things are important for the game. But they don't provide any, I guess, real challenge for the people who don't necessarily want to be doing savages and ultimates, but still want to feel like something fun is going on. Unfortunately, the content that was supposed to be there for the, I guess, mid-core players like myself, these are the variant dungeons and the deep dungeon. Uh, but I feel like they've fallen flat uh, for some reason or another. Maybe due to rewards, maybe due to the actual, I guess, difficulty and frustration of basically trying to work towards something and then, I don't know, dying or whatever, and then having to go back to level, like, what is it, like 20, and then go again or have to restart the run, so that you could get the achievement. Or like, even if you want to get the mount from the deep dungeon, you have to like basically run it 4 times, which is tedious. I really want that mount, but at the same time I don't think I'm gonna give it that much time, unfortunately, because right now I don't have it. I'm just saying that I think that these mid-core activities have been a little sloppily made when it comes to not just their overall marketing, but I guess the appeal to the people. Like, they have not been introduced into any of the roulettes. The rewards have been, mediocre at best. Unfortunately, some of the glamour items from the variant dungeons were very good, and yes, there's mounts, and yes, there's, this and that, but I feel like some additional drops that aren't like a 0.5% drop from a chest or something like that for you to get like wings or a minion or something like that could have been introduced into the game to get people to play it past the, let's say, 12 runs that we all do before we get the mount for the variant dungeon and whatnot. I feel like there needs to be a little bit of a restructuring, not to turn the community into a fully like goal oriented, loot oriented community, but at the same time, what is the actual appeal for someone to do the variant dungeons again after they've already cleared them? I personally don't know, and I wish I did. I wish they were a part of the roulette or something, because they're terribly fun, and I still have jobs to level from 80 to 90. I'm 3 jobs away, or 4 jobs away from hitting like all 90 on my jobs, and I would have appreciated being able to queue for something that isn't the same thing over and over again. And I hope that at some point they also introduce something like that. Melee damage says, I'm waiting for 7.0 and the graphics update and we'll start over, which is crazy. I know that's not crazy at all, in my opinion. I think that when you know that there's going to be a graphics update in the game, you just kind of, I don't know, don't want to be experiencing something that you currently maybe don't find appealing, or you, I guess now you know better, or you know you will know better, so you decide not to play the game, as you will be able to do all of these activities in 7.0 and past that, and for them to be more aesthetically pleasing for you. I think that's totally fine. If there wasn't any promise of a graphics update or whatever, this maybe wouldn't have made sense for someone to say, "Hey, I don't want to play because the game doesn't really look good." Maybe at some point they will like fix the graphics or whatever. Then you just don't like the game. But this way we have the promise and we know that it's happening. So some people are just like, "All right, let me see it," and starting over and seeing like the MSQ and all of these zones and characters in again in like a literally a new light and new colors. I think that's gonna be amazing, and that would even get me to do the new game plus. And I struggle with time as it is, but honestly, that's very tempting. That's pretty much it when it comes to basically the amount of comments that I wanted to bring up and talk about. I want to say thank you to everyone who's contributed with their opinions as well, and whose ever comment I didn't put into the video. Basically, you've helped me, uh, choose these. I guess opinions that represent your collective, and I just wanted to thank you for that. This was very nice to do, and I would like to do more videos like this. So if you'd like, let me know in the comments if this is something that you want me to do more. As we as a community, I feel like we have a lot to say, and I like being the voice of people who have a lot to say about Final Fantasy 14. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to do that. Also, thank you to everyone who's been supporting the channel during this very quiet time. I would not be able to do this without you. I've recently got a part time job that I'm very happy with, but you are the reason why I was able to say no to a full time job and just have a part time gig while working still on my YouTube channels, on my stream, and everything, because you support me and you keep me alive and you keep my family alive and you allow me to go towards this still, and like not abandon it and not be a part of like a 9 to 5 and then coming back home all tired, and then I don't know, being with my kid, and then after that working on videos during the night and then going to work in the morning for another 9 to 5. Like, you've made this possible for me, and thank you for that. If you want to support the channel, you can do so in many different ways: as a YouTube channel member, through YouTube um, uh, super chats during my live streams. You can become a member of Patreon. Actually, this is going to be a big year on Patreon because I'm working on some business collaborations that will allow me to send out some really, really cool rewards to all the people on Patreon as well. If you just want to support the content with no strings attached, pretty much, there's always PayPal, Stream Elements, and stuff like that. You can find all the links in the description of this video. But the greatest support that you can offer is to be a part of the community. So make sure to find the link to our Discord down below in the video description. Come over, say hi, meet some new Final Fantasy and Final Fantasy 14 fans and players. We are a lovely community, and I hope you enjoy your time with us. And on that note, thank you for watching. Make sure to like the video if you liked it, dislike if you hated it, share it, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in my next one. Bye bye.